Hi everyone, my name is Brian Garibaldi and I'm the director of Lake Cook Behavioral Health, and today I'm going to talk about parenting. Parenting is some of my favorite work I do here at Lake Cook, and because I work with a lot of kids, it's automatically built into what I do when I do therapy. I have a kind of general rule I follow. The younger the kids I see, the more I kind of work with the parents. I don't see like a lot of younger kids less than like 5 or 6 years old, that age. But generally, the younger the kids, the more I work with the parents. I think parenting work is some of the most important work I do because the impacts are really beyond even just the people in my office. The impacts are on kids and kids growing up, and those are really profound. It's not uncommon for people to have issues in their childhood. I mean, it happens all the time, right? Issues in people's childhood can really profoundly affect them as adults. So to really work on parenting and to set up a great environment for kids to succeed and be emotionally healthy as they're growing up, I think it has huge impacts for kids. I think it's a super important point. I often talk about parenting, and I use the word parents coaching often, even though often it's like family counseling or parents counseling. I use the word parent coaching often. And I use this because I think when I do therapy with parents, it is slightly different. I'm slightly more directive. What this means is that I tell parents a little more what to do. Generally in therapy, I often try and be as non-directive as possible because I think people doing the work or growing kind of on their own and me leading them through that process is really the most useful. But when it comes to parenting, I'm slightly more directive, and I'm a lot more directive, and I'm more telling people what to do. I'm like, here's kind of what you need to do. Here's what helps kids. Here's what helps kids in this environment. So I use the word parent coaching often, and even advertising ways I say parent coaching. I also think that a lot of parents they do really well. They do a really good job, and coaching really is a good descriptor of like, hey, a little extra help, a little extra guidance to kind of steer them even more where they want to go, especially with kids that need a little extra help. I think coming to help with parenting is really a great thing if parents and adults can take that on. And there's no shame in it whatsoever. Some kids just need a little more refined parenting. If kids have ADHD or anxiety or oppositional defiant disorder, parents need to be even more refined at what they do. So just even average parenting skills or even above average parenting skills might not be enough. They need to really be refined to help kids. So I think parenting and parent coaching and refining your parenting can really make a dramatic impact on a family and kids growing up. I think it's important also that even though I'm more directive when it comes to parent work and parent coaching, I might be telling you more what to focus on, more what to do. Every family really has its own culture and operates its own kind of different way. So I think it's very important. So it's not necessarily just super cookie cutter, one style fits all. Every family operates slightly differently. So even when I'm being directive, it has to fit and work in your family at the same time. A lot of what I'm going to talk about parenting are not necessarily original ideas. A lot of what I talk about are different books in different areas, different books you've read. A lot of these aren't necessarily like super original ideas. So I might have my own spin on them, and I think I put them together in a certain way that's really understandable. I think I have a pretty clear idea of like what's realistic for a family to take on. So you're going to see these concepts everywhere, all over the place, but hopefully I really put them together for you and make these easy to implement and not like super complex plans. And I often call the crux of what I go over, I got a term for it. I call it the parenting dilemma. And if I ever release a book, that's going to be the name, is the parenting dilemma of how do I keep a great relationship and alliance with my kids at the same time setting limits and enforcing those limits, which can be very confusing for parents. I want to keep a good relationship, but little Johnny needs to be grounded from the technology because he's not doing something or needs to change his behavior. And those things are possible, and I can go into a lot of detail on how to exactly do that. How do you actually implement this as a parent? Let's see. I'd like to say that a lot of what I go over in parenting and my parent coaching and parent topics they're slightly geared towards modern America. And what I mean is that the culture in modern America is different than like 50 years ago, where I think parenting and the family structure was more authoritarian, where parents could be like, this is how I do it. I'm not explaining, and maybe less focus on the parents' alliance with kids. I'm sorry, on the alliance with the children. So this is a little more recognition of, modern America, focus on kids' independence. I mean, kids know by the time they're 5 years old, like if you hit them, they're gonna call the police. I don't know if this actually happens often, but I've literally heard this in my office before. Kids know their independence, and I think American culture kind of glorifies people's independence. So there are some aspects that are kind of geared towards that. So it is slightly less authoritarian approach, even though it can still be. It doesn't mean there's not limits or anything, but maybe just a little more focus on relationship with kids. So, just a quick overview. I'm not going to go a detailed overview. I'm going to go over lots of things like alliance, a parenting alliance, alliance with your children, how to set limits, how to follow through, not getting in power struggles, some of the key kind of components in here. And so this is the intro video to kind of talk about this, and I'll make separate videos to go over these individually.